Good morning, Craig, and thank you for
Morning.
joining me this morning.
Very welcome, Sarah.
Just to introduce you to everybody, this is Craig from Coastal Foraging, specifically in South Wales, in Pembrokeshire, but wherever there's a coastal path or coast or places that can be foraged for food to eat. That would be you, is that right?
Yeah, it's all the coast of West Wales from, say, Llanelli down to St David's and everywhere in between, really. About 140 miles worth of coast.
Wow.
With all the little nooks and crannies. So, beautiful area.
So have you actually covered every aspect of that coastline all the way down?
Well, I like to think so. Spent the last 50 years doing that.
Wow. So this is what I wanted to ask you, because I know you've got, 86,000 YouTube subscribers now, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Where did it all start? When did you start having an interest in foraging? Can you sort of share with me that start, and then we can sort of talk through your journey to where you're doing it full time now? Would be great.
Well, it's not so much interest in foraging. It's an interest in wildlife and the natural environment in all aspects of it, really. Anything from, the geology, the sand under your feet, what blows in the air and the wind, and anything, all the life that lives there and how it all interacts with each other. It's just the environment.
Wow. So what sparked that interest? When did it start? When did you realise you had an interest in it?
I think it's inbred, an instinct, because my father, grandfathers, and going back many generations have had an interest in the environment and always been fishing and things like that. But personally, I've always had it, and whenever I've seen anything, if you pick up, even if you turn over a log in the garden, if you look underneath it, you can see the different grubs and insects and whatever else is there, and it's all an interest in how everything lives.
So it's been a natural interest, a natural curiosity that's really been supported.
Natural curiosity in biology, in geography, geology, anything to do with the outside world, really.
So would you say that was very much supported then by your family as you were growing up, because you had that interest, because that was something that the family, as you've just alluded to,
very much so
as well? Yeah. Would you say that was supported therefore?
It was supported because I used to take, my father used to take me to certain places, and we used to collect cockles and things like that. And when you're on an environment like that, there's far more than cockles to find. So it's anything else. And one of the things I did, which I vividly remember when I was about maybe 9 or 10, is walking through a little tidal inlet where the river runs through, and walking bare feet, and you can feel this tickling sensation under your feet. I always wondered what they were, so I went back when I was older with a small net and found out there were sand shrimps. So
Oh wow! And sand, how would you what does a sand shrimp look like? So for many people watching, I would imagine people just think,
well, the sand shrimp is what you get, is what they catch in places like Morecambe Bay, and you can buy them in places like Blackpool as potted shrimp and things. They're quite edible. So yeah. Right.
So that was one of the first things that you went back and looked at. But do you remember what the first thing was that you've actually found with your father? Was it the cockles?
Yeah, there was that and mussels. But my father wasn't. His attitude was it needed to be eaten, not with what everything happens with it and how it interacts with everything else.
Right. So his interest was very much it as an item of food, if you like, but your interest
his was food,
grew beyond that,
and a bit of pocket money, because he used to get a few sackfuls of these because they're very, very common, and at the time you were allowed to sell them, so he would sell them down pubs and things like that, to supplement his income.
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, there was a big hoo-ha, wasn't there? A few, that was in Morecambe, wasn't it? It was probably about 15, 20 years ago now with...
it was about that, and the poor Chinese cockle pickers, they were cut off, and that's really, really important, that if you're going out onto a beach anywhere, is to, know exactly what the tide's doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, absolutely, because that's when I met you last year, wasn't it? That I came on one of your foraging courses, not a foraging forces. That's a different
foraging forces.
But I came on one of your foraging days, which was brilliant. And just to find, which is literally just beneath the sand, but as you took us out at a certain time whilst the tides were out, so that we could get the cockles and the mussels. But you know, it's having that awareness of the tides, which you obviously do because you follow all the tides, so that you don't get caught.
Well, it's a prerequisite that, like I said on the course, the first thing you learn is about the tides, and you don't go onto a beach unless you know what the tide is doing. And if you're going out foraging, it's vital that you follow the tide out, because the tide goes in and out twice a day, in roughly about 6-hour intervals. And if you went out as the tide was coming in and you got distracted, you'd find that the tide might go around and cut you off, and that's how people get drowned.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is paramount if anybody is listening and watching to really take note of the tides and have somebody with you, ideally, that knows all about them if you don't.
Exactly.
Someone like yourself, Craig.
There are other people, of course, but
we don't need to mention them. But absolutely. I mean, safety first. I mean, you know, it's a great thing, and it's wonderful when you are on the seashore to be able to find these things. But you know, equally so, it's having respect and not stripping the shore bare. It's just taking a few, using what you can, because it's amazing. As I discovered that, you know, there's an excitement to it because it's something new. You're learning it, but once you start to collect a few. When you cook it, there's quite a lot of food there, isn't there?
Well, you'd be surprised, and you know the reason I run coastal foraging courses as opposed to woodland courses. There's always something available and quite easy to find all year round. I mean, if you're in a woodland, you get a few mushrooms and some berries and nuts and things in the autumn. But I think, going back to prehistory, that's how people settled the UK. You know, they lived on the coast because the living was easy.
Yes. Yeah.
And comparatively easy. And inland, there were things like, you know, wolves and bears and things like that. Quite dangerous. Much easier to just gather things from the coast, and they're far more nutritious anyway. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's all fresh, isn't it? You've got everything that's just kind of coming in from the sea, and then you've got, as we went, you know, you were showing me about wild garlic and other sort of edible plants, and you know, it's a fascination to know that, but you have to be so careful even with the plant life, because there's so many things that are poisonous if you're not aware as well.
You need to be particularly more aware of plant life, because there are a lot more poisonous plants, because there's not that many poisonous things in the ocean.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, because obviously plant life eats plant life. Sorry, sea life eats sea life, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's part of it. And the thing is, we've evolved to be able to eat these things anyway.
Which is probably another discussion in itself.
Yeah, that's another one. That's another one, of course. Yeah.
So that interest, obviously that interest that you were supported with in the very, very first instance. I'm going to have a knock on the door now because I can see a delivery man coming. The beauty of working from home. So I'm hoping my son will pick up the door. Yes, he has. He's just picked up the door. So we'll perhaps edit that bit out, or we'll just leave it. Do you know what? I like to do things in one take and no
spontaneous,
edit. So much more authentic.
Yeah.
So there we go.
As long as you don't pick your nose or something.
Pardon?
As long as you don't do something like pick your nose.
No, we'll edit that bit out. So there was that. Obviously, that interest right at the beginning of your, but you haven't always done it as your career effectively. So you went from
certainly not. No.
So what happened? Where obviously there's a gap in between. So you went from going out with your father, looking at the plant and the food life as the sea life as food. But your interest obviously spiraled on from there.
Oh, it's everything.
So I'm presuming you continued to have that interest, but then a career evolved from there. So
I've always followed that interest.
Fill in a few dots for me.
Yeah, there's quite a few dots and gaps from what you're trying to say, but I've always been foraging and finding out about wildlife, from all the animals that live anywhere, you know, the forests, on the mountains, you name it. But to make a living from it, that has been an ambition of mine for most of my life, really. And the thing is, I'm pleased to say that I've finally got there. But my first, how can I say, foray into making money from foraging was picking things like, wild mushrooms. We have bilberries on the mountains around this way. It was pick those, and blackberries, and used to catch trout and sell those. So that was a pocket money thing, when you're much younger as an early teenager. But my first formal employment, really, I joined the RAF. So I spent 12 years as an aircraft weapons engineer in the RAF in various places.
Where did you travel to in the RAF?
Mainly the UK.
Okay.
So I did 2 tours at a lovely place called Brodie down in Pembrokeshire, near St David's, which was perfect for my lifestyle, which is on the coast anyway. So
brilliant,
fantastic. Yeah, I spent about 3 years up in a place called Binbrook in Lincolnshire.
Okay.
Another nice part of the world in the Lincolnshire Wolds between Louth and Grimsby. Nice part. Did a bit of foraging up there as well.
Yeah, so back on the coast.
So back on the coast then, where did I used to go? There was an RAF bombing range we used to work at sometimes called Don and Nook, and some nice cockle beds there. That was fascinating because there was actually common seals in the sea. You could see those.
Oh, lovely.
Very much so. Living on the range itself.
You were very fortunate then with your postings within the RAF to actually be in locations that were coastal, because so many people don't end up in an area like that, do they?
Oh yes, yeah. But the thing is, most places you go to, you can pursue foraging activities. We're lucky in the UK to do that.
Yeah. We're not really ever that far, being an island effectively, we're not that far really mileage wise, are we, at any one time?
Apart from you in Nottinghamshire, was it 76 miles from the coast? Is the furthest from the coast in the UK?
Escape the east coast. I can get there in about an hour and a half.
Yeah. Still about 60, 70 miles, isn't it? It's fair way.
But I prefer South Wales, Craig.
Yeah.
Which is about 4.5, 5 hours. So,
yeah,
it's not a day trip. Yeah, and I'm not allowed out either at the moment, because obviously we're still talking during lockdown as we're recording this.
Yeah,
so,
correct.
So you did the RAF, so that was 12 years. And when you came out of the RAF, where did that take you next?
Then, obviously, when you leave any job of the forces, you need to contemplate what you're going to do when you come out. So I spent roughly about a year before I actually thought, I'd buy a lorry, quite a big lorry, bulk lorry, and buy and sell coal and deliver it to agricultural properties and farms as such, That didn't work out. Okay. However, during that period, say 2 years before I left the RAF and 2 or 3 or 4 years afterwards, we were involved in opening a private coal mine. So at the time, I had 2 jobs, at the RAF and developing a private coal mine.
Was that with family, or was that?
Yeah, family business. My father was the main driver of that. He was a mining engineer. So we opened a coal mine. My 2 brothers were partners, and I was lucky.
Was that why you ended up selling the coal? Is that how that worked out?
Very, very, very interesting period. Very interesting.
I missed that bit. Sorry, Craig, the line broke.
Very, very interesting period having 2 jobs.
Yes.
Because I used to be based on the RAF during the week and come back to work in the coal mine on the weekends.
Okay. What did you actually do in the coal mines? I mean, was there anything you did specifically?
Well, a coal mine was very, very basic. It was a drift mine, whereby you didn't go down in a shaft like you do in big mines. You just the coal outcrops at the surface, and you make a roadway and an archway, and you mine then as far as you can.
Right. Now, I have to ask you, how much were you drawn? How much was attention drawn away from actually doing the job because of your interest in the rock formation?
Very interesting. It was an interesting question, that. Yeah. Because I like mining because of the geology and knowing full well that what you were digging out really was nearly 300 million years old, and you still see fossils and things about there. and
Yeah.
various
So did
types
you
of
find anything
crystals.
interesting during that time when you were mining? You know, when you're looking, you know, you mentioned fossils just then. Were there any sort of...
Yeah, crystals of fool's gold and things like that, and yeah, fossils in the roof.
Oh,
um,
wow.
Fossils of the roots of the trees that were growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So you're
so,
still drawn into that sort of
oh
environment,
yeah,
even though it wasn't as you are now, but you were still
yeah,
working with
yeah,
things that you were interested in. You were drawn to that, obviously, because you're...
very much so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was in the RAF, what I used to do as a bit of a skive in a quiet period was I used to do the research and do some of the planning for the mine itself, you know.
Oh, cool. So yeah, doubling up, bit of leverage. I like a little bit of leverage.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Using your time wisely.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
So the mine, and that was for a couple of years, did you say, or was it?
I
Did
think
you?
it was about 6 years altogether.
Oh, okay. And so,
Yeah.
so what was the progression from the mine, and where did you go to next? I think
Right.
I
So when
think
I
you
left,
might know the answer, but
yes. So when I left the RAF, then, like I say, I did 2 jobs in the mine. That the mine was a bit of a constant. Um, this business of buying a lorry to be a bit of a kind of bulk coal merchant didn't work out.
mm-hmm.
So then I joined an insurance company then, and I spent 3-4 years with those.
Okay.
Yeah, and while I was working for those, I then obviously still working in the mine.
Right. Again, doubling up.
Not doubling up, yeah. And while still working in the mine, after leaving the insurance company, I then joined High Street Bank.
Right.
And I then worked for those for, I think it was about 17, 18 years.
Wow. So I mean, like banking and insurance, again, far cry from working really, you know, doing what you're doing now. But I'm presuming during all of that time, it would go without saying that you were still foraging and learning and reading and exploring.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to knowledge of foraging, obviously there's no other way of finding out apart from going there and doing it. But luckily, in the 70s, there were book clubs about. So before now, yeah, you could Google things. Not the time, the book clubs, you buy a book and you get, if you didn't cancel it, you'd be sent one every week or every month or whatever it was.
Oh, was it Britannica?
Yeah, pardon?
Was it the Britannica? Was that the music club? I can't remember.
Britannia it was. Britannia was it? No, Britannia Music, that's right, yeah. Yeah, but there were a few book clubs, world books and all the rest of them. And I still got some of these books now, and, you know, all the early, you know, authors on wild food and things like Richard Mabey. I read all the books on the environment and, you know, anything that was relevant to any wildlife, you know, life history of different fish, or, you know, guide to the seashore, you name it. I bought it, and on any quiet period, that's what you do. I just read.
Yeah, well, absolutely, fueling your interest. I mean, and that's what it is, isn't it? I mean, it's you know, when you want to change career or you want to do something different, I mean, it's having that knowledge. And, you know, you built up all your knowledge over all those years that obviously led you towards your end goal of doing what you're doing now, which was your effectively your bigger picture at the end of the day. You don't, the route there isn't necessarily a fast one. But it's all that learning you get in the meantime so that you can actually do what you're doing straight away. Because you couldn't just walk into, I couldn't just become I'm going to become a forager. Because you need all that time.
You can't do that.
Opportunity to learn.
And the thing is, you mentioned the bigger picture. So the thing is, when you start off, the picture is small. So, but you need then to focus on how big you want that picture to be to get there, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think there's no harm in having a huge, great, big picture in terms of what you want. Because in my opinion, life's an illusion of your own creation. So it's how you create it and what you have in. And if you think small, you'll stay small. But if you think bigger, you're constantly working towards that. And it's what motivates it, what drives you. You know, I've got my eyes on opera's seat, you know.
Yeah.
A long way off, but who knows? Might not be.
You never know. You never know.
You never know. But it's all the things that you do and the opportunities that are presented along the way. And obviously, you are now doing what you set out to do. And as we said at the beginning, you've got 86,000 YouTube subscribers. And just before we started talking about your career up until where you are now, you told me how many views your first videos actually got.
No, it's not my first video. No, what it was, it's my first video that's actually had 2 million views.
Right.
Yeah. So the thing
That's
is, we
incredible.
filmed this in Carmarthenshire in Pembrokeshire last year, and I think we put it live in December. We published it in December, so it's now made. Well, it's attracted 2 million unique viewers.
That's absolutely incredible, absolutely amazing. So what is that particular video about?
It's a bit of a snapshot, really. I think it's about 30 minutes of a video. It's about catching lobsters and talking about the environment and doing a bit of cooking what we catch. It's a synopsis, really, of a nice couple of summer days on the beach and its wildlife.
Brilliant. Wow. So it really is, because it is that snapshot. That's probably what the appeal is, because people get a real sort of flavour, if you like, of
use a pun.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't help myself. I get a real taste for it, you know.
Yeah.
So they can get a real idea. I don't know enough about YouTube myself at the moment, but do you have any idea who it is that does view and look at your?
Oh yeah, I mean, YouTube is a brilliant format for publishing videos, but I use YouTube as an advertising medium. Because I've done about 40 videos so far now over the last couple of years, and sometimes you can get well paid in it, because I use it to garner interest in my business, and I would say about 70% of my course members come along because they've seen YouTube videos. Which
is brilliant, but you're showing and demonstrating yourself in those videos, so that people can really see before they buy, if they like. Yeah. They get a real insight, don't they?
Yeah, and people are able to comment on videos, and you can respond to them as well. So, and all this engagement, it drives up YouTube's method of referring and putting your video in front of other people.
Yeah.
So I've got the best of both worlds, really. I go out, enjoy myself making the videos, having a nice meal at the end.
Yeah.
YouTube pay me for doing it, and I get advertising on the back of it.
Which is brilliant. I mean, what a fantastic sort of format when you're doing it, and you're doing it right, and it's worth investing the time in help, because you've obviously got somebody who's doing the video with you, but investing in their time as well. In fact, should we give him a nod? Who is it that does your videoing?
Yeah, currently it's John Berg. He has a business called Digital Tiger. Yeah. He does filming and editing for me. He's got his own business. He designs his own websites and does a lot of social media marketing. And he is as well. He's been an extra in Strictly Come Dancing. So.
Yes. So does he dance along the beach?
Not my cup of tea, but
well, you're obviously doing a great job, because obviously looking at the video, your figures and your subscribers and etc., which is amazing. So what is it that you offer now to people generally in terms of the foraging courses? How does all that work? I mean, and is it now completely your full-time job?
Yeah, it's now completely my full-time job, because I mentioned a little while ago that I joined the bank for 17, 18 years. So yeah, I left that. And
what made you leave, by the way, Craig, before you just go on? Sorry to interrupt, but what made you leave the bank?
Stress, really. Yeah, being micromanaged, and it's like lots of employment, really, where you might like something at the start, and the role develops into what you don't want it to be, and so I decided to get out.
Cool.
So there's a bit of background as well. In the last couple of years before leaving, I actually researched and developed a range of seaweed spa products, natural seaweed spa products, and I had great hopes of developing that, and they were initially very successful, but that's on the back burner, and I still think they can be, especially because of the way internet marketing is now compared to what it was then. Yeah. So watch this space on that.
Oh, absolutely. I'll put me down for some products then.
So watch this space on that. Yeah. So when I left the bank, then I bought a woodland 40 acres of ancient semi-natural woodland, which had been cut down by the Forestry Commission at the time and planted with conifers.
Right.
So what I did there, I managed that and made income from cutting down and selling wood. And I sold that about 4 years ago. But the part that I'd cut down, I made sure that it was replanted with 28,000 broadleaf trees. So
I remember you telling me.
The natural position as it was. So that's one of my nods to the environment for the future.
Cool. So you've got what do they call it? Not a caveat, a condition. Is this? So you've got something when you sold it that they've got to keep those broadleaf trees there.
Oh yes. The thing is, any trees over a certain amount that you cut down has to have a felling license, which has to be agreed by your country's environment agency or Natural England or whatever. So, or the Forestry Commission in England's case. Yeah. So the thing is, you can't just do what you want.
No.
So,
and so you shouldn't either. Really.
And the people I've sold it to are environmentalists anyway, so they
perfect. So you sold all of the wood then?
Yeah, sold all of that. Yeah.
It must have been amazing to have actually owned some woodland, because I mean it's something that I think would be just the most magical thing to own. But I know that it's not just buying it; you have got to really look after it as well.
A lot of work involved and an interesting period. But my thoughts at the time was to develop part of it into like a glamping site, because it was on a steep slope. I was going to have little areas cut off the main road going through it, and put like log pods in that little gap. People would have had an acre to themselves, and fantastic views over the Welsh countryside. Quite high up.
You decided not to go ahead with that then?
Oh, there's too much involved with that, and it would have tied me into travelling and managing that. But I wanted to be on the coast, really.
So you made it happen.
You've got to make it happen. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you kept focused and you put things into place and you made it happen. Yeah. So how did you ultimately make it happen? Because obviously you've always been driven, you've been motivated, your interest, you've had that bigger picture, and that's driven you, even though you've done these other jobs over the years, and ultimately one that's got put you into a position of stress, which nobody should be in at all, because, it's about being in alignment, it's about being happy. So work isn't work, because your work's not work, is it?
Hey, I'm not a job for a long time now.
Brilliant. That's what we want to inspire other people to do, is to, if you're in alignment with your talents and your passions and what drives you and your sense of purpose, because yours is obviously from what I understand, is educating people, in all that you've already studied. So all of that knowledge that you've taken years and years and years of study, you can now share with people and enlighten them, even if it's just giving them a glimmer, which means that they are more respectful to the land and the sea and everything around them, which is brilliant. So how did you make it happen?
I'll tell you the journey over the last few years. Now, before launching the business, you have to do your market research. Now, YouTube was my market research. And how it came about was, there's a friend of mine who's an environmentalist, a chap called Chris Harbour, who has a very successful YouTube channel. I think he's got about 25 million views and about 50,000 subscribers. Real nice guy. So he was one of my customers for some of my wood up in my woodland. So he obviously knew that I was into the environment and fishing, so he had a GoPro camera. I said, why don't we go make a video one day, Craig? We'll come down, we'll have a day out, and I'll film you. I said, that's a good idea. I haven't done it before. This was about maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, something like that. So we did this video, and this was in March, bit of a cloudy, dull day. And that was published, not on my channel, but on Chris's channel. Any income that video made went directly to Chris. Yeah. So Chris with a K, that is. Chris Harbour, his name is.
What does he do?
He lives completely off-grid.
Okay.
And, he makes YouTube videos, and him and him and his partner are living the dream.
Sounds great.
Yeah, he's built his own hydroelectric system, solar power, you name it, workshops, all natural.
Mm-hmm.
So, inspirational guy, Chris.
Yeah, I shall have to follow him myself then.
Yeah. So we did that video and in his name, but what I was doing, I was monitoring the comments to what people said. They were very favorable. I could reply to them and they could see. And then we did another one then in the July, which was even more successful. And this time it was nice weather. And those two videos, I think, over that period had about a couple of million views between them.
Wow.
Yeah. So that, because on the thousands of comments it received.
Oh my gosh.
That was my spur really to launch what I'm doing now. So I launched my own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And had my own website built and developed, and went about it in the correct way, and it's paid off.
So how did you manage to build up the subscribers then? I'm curious because obviously you start with a YouTube.
We start with a channel and you post a video on, and the thing is, if people like what you're doing, they'll click on subscribe.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
But you've got to build that up to start with. I'm presuming you were putting lots of like the hashtag things in the commentary, were you, and things like that?
No. Because on YouTube there's a little bell that you can click on the top, and a little icon to say subscribe.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's all been organic.
If your content appeals to people and they want to see more of it, they just click subscribe.
That's brilliant. And and that's happened over the last couple of years.
Couple of years, yeah.
That's absolutely brilliant. And now you take people in groups up and down the coastline when we're not in lockdown all the time.
All the time, yeah. And that's part of the beauty of it, because it's all about education, really. Yes, to get a nice day out. We're out for about 6 to 8 hours, and in glorious countryside. Sometimes it's a bit wet, sometimes it's not.
Yeah, but it's great. I mean, as I say, I can testify to that, because I mean, I had the most amazing day. It was brilliant, and just knowing what's underneath the sand, and I think you cooked it up with wild garlic and rose hips and samphire, and it was just amazing just to sit and eat.
There's all sorts.
Yeah,
there's all sorts. And the thing is, you never know what you're going to come across.
No.
Because when I took you, I found something called a greater pipefish there not that long ago, and I've got a little video clip of it made. I'm going to post it on Instagram quite soon now.
Yeah, every day. Well, every day is
different. There's something different to see, even if you visit the same area, the same place, because of the variabilities of the tides and the seasons. Different things are going to appear there at different times.
Yeah. Which is the beauty of it all, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. But you can, as you said, I mean, you don't. The coast is where you hang out, but you can also go inland, and South Wales and that area so well, because you showed me some other areas as well, like for instance where Keeping Faith was all filmed and all around there.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, we've had a conversation ourselves, haven't we, about sort of staycations and what's going to happen moving forward, and putting together sort of holistic retreats with sort of coaching and yoga and foraging, how it's all, it's all in its infancy at the moment, but I can see the
staycation market's going to snowball. And, speaking to other people, different tourist organizations and travel agents, it's just people are now far more aware of the country they live in. And I think it's going to be a boom time.
But equally so, not just staying at home, but it's that sort of environmental awareness, and it's being mindful of health and well-being. I think everybody, whilst being on lockdown, been getting where they can a lot more exercise. I know I've been out, probably 6 out of 7 days of the week. I'm going to go going to go out on my bike shortly.
That's right.
And, you know, and people are going to want more of that. And I know I've cycled part of the South Wales coastline as well. Didn't know it was part of the Ironman route at the time. It might have been why I wanted to get off and cry. But
All right. Yeah.
But the South Wales in itself is so beautiful. And obviously, I know we've sort of discussed the fact, you know, that it needs to be managed as well, so it's not going to sort of suddenly get completely taken over and overcrowded, because the beauty of South Wales is that it isn't like that.
Well, it doesn't suffer from over-tourism, and the planning authorities are going to make sure that it doesn't suffer from over-tourism.
Yeah, which is perfect. But if you can educate people as well, I mean, I think that's the whole beauty of what you do, is that yes, people will stay home, but they can, you know, it's having a holiday with a difference. It's having that staycation with a difference. It's doing things. It's learning stuff. You know, and it doesn't matter what the weather's like, because I know, you know, when I come down to South Wales, I tend to come down on my own, and you know, I've done, you know, I'll go walking along the coastline. I've obviously come and done your foraging course. I've done lots of things when I come down. And I did a park run. Obviously, those can't do at the moment either. But this will all come back and it's about, you know, making it more of an adventure holiday. But it doesn't need to be, you know, going up gorges, which I do like as well. But you know, it doesn't need to be high up.
There's all that within just a couple of miles of where I'm sitting now, so you can do all that anyway. And the area is so diverse. I mean, we've got mountains, rivers, gorges, you know, huge forests. And on the coast, we've got sand dune systems, wide estuaries. We've even got, well, where Keeping Faith was filmed, you know, land speed records have been broken there.
Oh, that's the Pendine Beach, isn't it?
That's in Pendine Sands. And apparently the first transatlantic flight for a husband and wife took off from Pendine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's
so much history.
Actually, a lot of history.
And in fact, you know what? Wherever we are, wherever we live, if we actually look and stop, there's history everywhere, and there's information and stuff to learn. Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, so you're really at the forefront of it. So what's you've kind of got to that point now where you're doing that, but I've got an idea that you've still got a bigger picture in mind. What's your bigger picture now, Craig?
Well, the bigger picture is to, from a financial point of view, really, is to promote some merchandise and use the following to make that work, really. I like educating people. It's not all about money. So I'm more than happy to visit some schools, which I've done in the past, and pass on, maybe inspire a few people. What I particularly like about some of the YouTube comments, some people actually say in there, they've actually inspired, you know, teenagers to be marine biologists. I'm not a marine biologist myself.
Wow.
That's what they say, and I'm really proud of that, really.
Yeah, and that's great. And that's
just by walking on the beach, picking a few cockles. A bit more to it than that, but yeah.
But that's great. I mean, that inspiration. But you did mention a few minutes back that, you know, you would like to bring that the products back as well that you've already looked into. So, and that you did about 2 or 3 years ago, didn't you? The sort of the beauty products, etc. That you.
Oh yes, yeah. Because there's one particular product which these were used quite successfully, and quite some good publicity in various magazines as well.
Well, yes, I mean, that's something we didn't mention, that you are regularly featured in various magazines, aren't you?
Oh, but this was then as well. So the thing is, my products were trialed independently against some of the bigger firms, and I was quite pleased with the results, to be honest.
Fabulous.
Very
well,
pleased.
hopefully, the clothing and everything else that will fund and fuel.
Yeah, there's clothing, and the thing is, where I've been really fortunate is that I've been promoted by my local authority, Carmarthenshire County Council, via their PR company, Travel Tonic, and been featured in quite a few magazines. Matter of fact, I've got a nice feature in this month's copy of Coast.
Which magazine? Sorry, Craig, it bipped.
Coast magazine.
Oh, Coast Oh, I love that magazine.
You say Coast. We say Coast.
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 And what's the word coast in Welsh?
Afordir.
I won't try that.
Yeah.
I want to learn a bit of Welsh.
Yeah. Afordir.
Afondir.
For and more is the sea, and tir is land.
Avon.
So it's where the land meets the sea, really.
Right.
So Ar is on the land and sea. That's the coast.
Avon. Yeah.
Avon is river.
Yeah.
Ar means on.
Avon.
Vor or
Avon.
more is the sea, and dir or tir, Tir, is land.
Avon.
Really, literally it means on the land and sea. Coast.
That's good. I like that. That's really good. You know, the words broken down and what the meaning is.
I didn't make it up, but that's
language. No, but it's. I think that's in. I think it's always interesting where language comes from, and often when you look at a word and you break a word down, you think, well, you know, I know without going off too much topic, my mum did Latin growing up, and I think, you know, and I've spoken to other people who've done Latin as well, that you understand the formation of where the words come from, but then there's always the history around the words as well. You know, even when you look at street names and where you are, and that.
Yeah, of course.
It tells you so much about a place. But as I say, that's different. We're going off topic there. But it's been brilliant, Craig. Thank you so much for sharing your inspiration, your journey, and what you've been doing, and how it's always threaded through your life all the way along. And, you know, you've made it happen now, which is absolutely brilliant. And you're still sort of passionate about what you do and sharing that knowledge. So how can people get in touch with you? How can they actually book a course?
That's very simple, really. Just visit my website, which is www.coastalforaging.co.uk. Plenty of information on there to find out about what I do. And on there, all you have to do is click on the book now. When you come onto book now, it gives you a month by month breakdown of all my courses to the end of the year. If there's no course, it means the tides aren't suitable. The tides need to go out by a certain distance to uncover some of the sea life that you're looking for. But obviously we're in a pandemic now, so we can't actually take people out on courses. However, you can still book.
Yes.
Under the proviso that if you do book and the course doesn't go ahead with the pandemic, you can rebook at the time when you wish to come along.
Brilliant. That's great. So people can actually make that booking, and we're quite happy for that to be moved. Weather-wise or pandemic-wise, which hopefully we shall start to be able to move and do a bit more.
That's it. And what's become popular, where I'm quite fortunate from a cash flow point of view for the business, because I can't take people out now. People are still purchasing vouchers for Christmas and birthdays and presents to be used with no time limit, really. So which is
brilliant.
Which is good. Yeah.
Excellent. And they can also follow you on YouTube, of course, and add to your subscribers.
Yes, you could have a look at YouTube, and that's nice and simple. It's just called Coastal Forager with Craig Evans, which is the same name as my Facebook account. So
is that the same name as your Instagram account as well? Because you do a lot on Instagram.
No, Instagram is a little bit different. It's just Coastal Forager with Craig.
Right.
Yeah, because you've only allowed to use certain number of letters, you see.
Yes, you have to edit it all out. So that's how to find Craig if you want to book on or follow or learn more and siphon his mind of information. So thank you so much, Craig. That's been really, really interesting and informative. So get in touch with Craig now. Fantastic. Lovely. Thank you very much.